Welcome back to Jack Daniels at Lauberge Casino Resort, Lake Charles. Special guest tonight, Mike McKenzie, former Saints defensive back, is with us in the house tonight to talk about a number of issues. Number one on my list, we're going to go back in time and talk about your stay with the Saints. The great Super Bowl year that you were a contributor, believe it or not. We'll get into that and so much more. But first off, Mike, we appreciate you coming in. Let's talk about why you're in Lake Charles and the foundation to help kids across the New Orleans area. And I'm assuming you want to branch this out across Louisiana. Talk about the foundation that you're working with.
Well, the foundation is the 34 Ways Foundation. I founded the foundation about eight years ago. Being from South Florida, I knew how important it was for me growing up to have the community involvement, and I have received a lot of support from Park and Recreation, so it was a natural fit for me once I made it to the NFL to go back home and do all the community service. And then once I was drafted by Green Bay, the platform was already there for me. Green Bay being a first-class organization through the players program, I just continue to stick with it. And then in 2004, I was traded here to New Orleans. I was embraced in the city of New Orleans long before the team was, very successful. And then we all know what happened in 2005 that changed the outlook of New Orleans forever. And I think from that point in New Orleans, it was just obvious what was needed, the effort as far as rebuilding the community. It was something that I was already used to doing as far as all the community programs. And then it was just a situation where doing it over the years in New Orleans, my fiance being from Lake Charles, I was constantly hearing, no, Saints players rarely come over to Lake Charles. So for me, it was an opportunity to do something where there was a need, and I just felt compelled to get involved.
Okay, let's get into some of that entertainment tonight here. Your fiance's from Lake Charles, so you snuck into Lake Charles and stole one of our best young ladies from Lake Charles, or did you meet her someplace else?
Well, I did meet her in New Orleans.
Okay.
I did meet her in New Orleans. I met her in New Orleans.
But tell us some of the things this foundation does when you get down right down to it. What kind of
our big things that we do is support youth programs and back to school efforts, the school supplies, private school uniforms, reading literacy contests, book fairs. Of course, during the holidays, we do the toy giveaway. We partner with Toys for Tots, and been able to, contribute a lot of toys to a lot of underprivileged kids, as well as just over the holidays, blessing young people with a meal. That they say, Meals on Wheels. So I travel, across the country, really just promoting community, letting people know, especially people that's very affluential and have the opportunity to give back, that I encourage them. We say, we're only as strong as our community. So people that can give ought to give, and that's something that I've been doing over the years.
Mike, I applaud you for that, man, because so often I think sometimes when people look at athletes on television, it's always a different stereotype that they're given because they make all the big dollars and they have all the nice cars and the big houses and stuff. But just for you to come back here and share what you shared with us here today, I think that speaks volume for you as a person, and whatever we can do here in the city of Lake Charles, man, to help you promote what it is you're doing, I know we're going to get on board and help you, because I know we're that kind of a city, and if we can get you to come back more and do those kind of things here, we're going to do that. But we were talking earlier, Mike and I, and Mike looked at me and said, Gidry, look like you can still line up and play, man.
All right, let's move on.
Nobody's butting that one already. Nobody.
No, Mike.
So I'm just saying,
I'm going to change this subject real quick now. Mike, you all want to keep this going down. You bridged the gap from the dark days right after Katrina, having to play in Tiger Stadium, all of that stuff, to the new regime coming in there to Saints. What was the biggest change you saw from, for lack of a better word, the Haslett days to when, the new regime came in and it seemed like the team really took off?
Well, the biggest thing was the ownership gave Sean Payton an opportunity to bring in and implement things that he knows worked well from his days being over with the Giants as well as the Cowboys. Being at those two types of organization, Sean had recognized a lot of things that he knew he could implement with the team. And the ownership over there gave him the reins. They turned it over to him, and so he made a lot of upgrades in reference to things to make the players comfortable. He came in with a very aggressive style offensively, and when he brought in Greg Williams, he brought that matching power that I think at the end of the day was the ultimate edge in the championship season.
Well, the championship season did have, I mean, the logical thing to look at is they brought Greg Williams in and a good to average defense really got very good, particularly with the turnovers for that championship season. Was that mostly Greg Williams? I mean, was there a different did he bring a different attitude to that defense?
Well, players are always the key. I mean, you're not going to win a championship without without good players. And so it was really the camaraderie that was formed between coaches, players, and management. It takes all those things to happen at the right time. The stars have to line up, and that particular season, I mean, it lined up. For a player like myself, being in the league 10, 11 years and coming in over halfway through the season and having 1 week to prepare for such a huge game like a Monday night football. I think that one game in itself speaks the volume of the coaching staff, because they was able to bring a guy like myself that knows how to play the game but knew nothing about the scheme, knew nothing about the defense, and in a 6-day period had me prepared to go out there and play one of the best games of my career.
You had a pretty good game. You really did.
Let's follow up on that. Mike McKenzie, former Saints cornerback, defensive back, has joined us here on Soundoff60 at Jack Daniels. Mike, you had an injured knee, if I recall, the season before, so you pretty much were out of the game. Quasi-retired, if you will. You rehabbed the knee. The way I guess the story goes, you're sitting on a couch. We're talking about the 06 Super Bowl year for the Saints. All of a sudden, the DBs started going down like flies. Now, I assumed, or may have been wrong, but I thought Nicky Loomis or Peyton called you. But now I'm hearing that you reached out and said, Sean, I'm ready if you want me to come in for a couple of weeks.
That's a story that I tell a lot of people. A lot of times, if you're not given the opportunity, you have to make a way for your opportunity. So it was all over the papers that guys was hurt, and I was fully aware of it. Initially, early in the season, I was hoping and waiting for a call, but when I seen all the injuries that was stacking up in the Saints secondary, and I seen that they was actively bringing players in for workouts, I've called Sean Payton personally and say, hey man, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling good, can I at least get a workout? And he felt compelled. He didn't think twice about it. Sean say, hey, be over here on Monday at such and such time, and the rest is history. I had the call. I didn't get the call.
You made it.
If not for that call.
You're right, man.
Well, I'm at the game in New England, and refresh my memory. Did you not have an interception against Tom Brady?
That's correct. I had 3 or 4 deflections.
A great game. Is that like a career game for you?
I tell you what,
it was close to it, wasn't
up under
Considering the
circumstances, it's my most memorable game, because no one in a career wants to end their career on an injury. And for me, being hurt, I never forget it. November 9th in the Georgia Dome, I broke my kneecap, the same kneecap that had previously been surgically repaired. And so right before my eyes, I see my career being over. And so having that opportunity and making the opportunity, more importantly, to have that game. So now, Mike McKenzie is known as coming back against the Patriots and having a great game.
So it's Georgia Dome, so it was against the damn Falcons, was it not?
That is correct.
There we go.
The Dirty Birds.
Back to those Falcons.
That's your boy. Mike, looking back on a lot of things, man, what do you think was probably the biggest changing point for the city of New Orleans when the team won a championship there for so many years, 45 years, close to 50 years? What do you think that did for the city itself, not only for the players, but for the city itself?
Well, I think the greatest thing that happened upon the team coming back to the city for the 06 season was we was greeted. I mean, the dome was sold out. We wasn't sure whether or not the contractors was going to be able to have the dome prepared. I mean, we didn't play preseason games there. We went in like the week before our home opener against the Falcons, and that was our first time back in the Dome. So seeing the Dome filled with all those people, having such a tremendous game against the Michael Vick at that point, Atlanta Falcons, and just the roar of the crowd being back in the city. And at that point, the city was still basically up underwater, and we had so many fans that didn't have it, but found a way to be out there and support them. So it was a natural progression. That year we came within one game of making the Super Bowl, which was in Miami. So it was very ironic, I say, that in our championship year, the Super Bowl was in Miami.
That first game back at the Dome, that's got to be one of your more memorable games that you've been involved in, I would think.
I have 4 games that stick out in my mind as the most memorable game. 1999, starting against the Oakland Raiders in Lambeau Field, being my first game, tallying my first career interception in my first career game, and then making my first game back off of my first knee injury against the Denver Broncos and Jay Cutler. I registered an interception in that game. And then third, the Patriots game, once again off of a serious career-ending injury. First game back against the Patriots, once again having an interception in a big-time game. And then being from South Florida, I thank God every day that I was there to be a part of that Super Bowl in my hometown in Miami, Florida.
That's great.
Capping it off against Peyton Manning.
Hang with us. We're going to take a short pause. When we come back to Jack Daniels, we'll get into more of Mike's years with the Saints. We'll talk about what's facing the NFL and the Players Union. You can't talk to McKenzie without talking about the hair. We've got to get into the hair. We'll do that and more when Soundoff60 comes right back. Stay right here.